What is up, guys? We are back. This is my top 15 of 2015. We are getting close. This year was such a good year for hip-hop. Some of my favorite albums came out this year. So yeah, we're just going to jump right into it. We're going to try to go fast, but I like to talk, and I hope you guys like to listen. Number 15, we go to rapper Big Pooh with Words Paint Pictures. Rapper Big Pooh is an underground hip-hop artist signed to Mellow Music Group. This is the year that I really found out about Mellow, and I really started digging what they were producing and making and releasing. A lot of good releases this year. They didn't all make this list, but a couple of them did. This is the first one. Very good record. Favorite song is Augmentation. This dude can spit, and nothing he says take at face value. Some really good one-liners. I really enjoy it. Number 14. We moved to the West Coast with Vince Staples, Summertime 06. Vince Staples is a Long Beach rapper. Heavily collaborated with the likes of Earl Sweatshirt and other Odd Future members. He did some stuff with Mike G as well. Not an official member of Odd Future, but kind of one of those members, kind of like Casey Veggies, Brandon Deshay, Jack Mushroom. He did stuff with him, and they did stuff with him. This is his debut full-length album, and it is very good. It is almost exactly what you would expect from a West Coast rapper. The beats are banging. The songs are not overly... They're not super long. He keeps them pretty quick, but the choruses hit, and they are catchy and easy to remember. Very good record. And Vince is one of those dudes that after this album, he started experimenting a little bit more, and then on every album, it was a little bit more experimentation up to like Big Fish Theory, where you've literally got him rapping on beats nobody would rap on except for him. He does a fantastic job. Number 14, Vince Staples, Summertime 06. Number 13, Action Bronson with Mr. Wonderful. I've talked a little bit about Action Bronson on some of my previous videos. This is, I believe, the third time he's made a list. This is his debut commercial full-length release. Of course, he did the album with Static Selecta, Well Done. He also did the Dr. Lecter, very independent full-length. I think he does a fantastic job. His beat selection is wonderful. Mr. Wonderful. His lyrics are great. The songs are funny. He's got this line on Baby Blue where he says, "The special tonight is white snake and underwear sauce." And it makes me laugh every time I hear it. Really good feature from Chance the Rapper on Baby Blue. Fantastic beats. One of my favorite album covers of the year. Just kind of, it really shows you Action Bronson's personality. Fantastic. Number 13, Action Bronson, Mr. Wonderful. Number 12, Pusha T, King Push, Darkest Before Dawn, the Prelude. I'm not really sure what this was a prelude to, considering that the next album had nothing to do with this album. I don't know if he just got caught up with being the president of good music, and he just never got around to making the follow-up to this. Very good album, though. I don't like it quite as much as My Name Is My Name, which is his debut. This is a sophomore. Still fantastic. Great release. Pusha's just one of those dudes that you have to dig deep into his lyrics. Nothing he says take at face value. Very, very good record. That was number 12, Pusha T, King Push, Darkest Before the Dawn, The Prelude. Number 11. Number 11, we move on to EarthGang-Strays with Rabies. EarthGang is a hip-hop duo out of Atlanta, Georgia. They're a part of Slum Village along with Jid and Black and a couple other guys on it. They are signed now to Dreamville, J. Cole's record label, with Jid. This is such a good album. I can't stop listening to EarthGang. They're one of those, they incorporate so many different elements of so many different genres that it never really gets boring. a lot of funk influence. There's a lot of jazz undertones to it. They sing quite often, which is kind of a nice change of pace from the just straight rapping of a lot of people's releases. And this album is just, it's so good. Go check this out. EarthGang-Strays with Rabies. Number 10, we've got Hopsin with Pound Syndrome. This is his third or fourth full length. I basically like everything Hopsin releases. I'm never really disappointed. It just really makes me mad that he always says, "Oh, I didn't put everything I had into my last album," or "Oh, my last album was half-assed, but this one's good." But then the next time he says it again, it bugs me. It's just like, just stand behind your work. There's people that like it. Stop taking the critics. I assume what's happening is he hears the critics and says, "Oh, yeah, you're right. It wasn't that good. It could have been better." I enjoy the fuck out of this album. There's so many good songs on here. There's a song, Fort Collins, where he talks about the show he did in Fort Collins where he didn't hit the stage and instead he ran off because his last album was a flop and he wasn't confident rapping in front of all these people. And Dizzy Wright has a really good verse on it, which is strange for Dizzy because I'm not a Dizzy Wright fan. This is a good record. Check this out. Hopsin-Pound Syndrome. Number 9, my main man, Yelawolf-Love Story. Yelawolf is a rapper, singer from Alabama, signed to Shady Records, has his little imprint, Slamerican. This is a very experimental record, if you can't tell by that back cover. There is very little rapping in this. It has a really big folk country vibe, which you shouldn't be surprised about from a dude from Alabama. And normally I hate country, but I'm a big folk fan. And some of these songs are so good in the way that they are represented and in the idea behind them that I just can't stop listening to it. As soon as this heard out, this was on constant rotation for at least a year. It really impressed me. My love for this record has died down a little bit since its release, but I still really enjoy it. There's a couple really good tracks on here. Eminem has one of my favorite verses he's done since the 90s on the song Best Friend. It's a lot of double entendres, a lot of wordplay. Eminem has a line, I never should have been allowed a mouth. What is it? There's never been a louder mouth. Should have never been allowed a mouth. Some crazy M shit that only M would do, but it works. Good record. Yelawolf-Love Story. Number 8, Mac Miller, Good AM. I've talked about Mac Miller, how big of an influence he was on me, and how much I'm going to miss hearing him drop an album or a mixtape every year or 2 years. This was his third full-length release, his first commercial on Warner Bros. And he really hits this album hard. This is almost completely 180 from what he did on Watching Movies with the Sound Off, where it's very underground. A lot of it is focused on his lyricism. A lot of it is focused on what he's saying, how he's saying it, what the meaning behind what he's saying is. There's a lot of trap in this. There's a lot of bangers. There's weird fucking features. You've got Lil B on it. I want to say Miguel is on a track, but the Miguel track actually works really, really well. I love the way that this album is stylized, where it's called Good AM, but it's Go ODAM or Go Ode AM. There's so many different ways you can talk about it. Fantastic songs. One of my favorite Mac releases. Rest in peace to one of the young legends of the hip-hop universe, Mac Miller, Good AM. Number 7, little-known rapper off of Rhymesayers. This is Prof with Liability. Prof is I won't call him old. I will say he's older. He's definitely been around the block a few times. I believe he was an old underground MC. This is a little different from a lot of Rhymesayers releases. You expect boom bap, you expect underground, you expect maybe some R&B. You expect it to be very honest, a lot of lyricism, a lot of wordplay, a lot of metaphors, a lot of similes. this is not that. This is just a fun, I won't say wholesome, but a fun album to just sit back and listen to. This album cover is so fantastic, and if you look, it's actually raised a little bit. It's almost it's a little 3D. So good. There's so much I love about this record. This album bumps. If you ever bought a Rhymesayers record, never listening to it before, as I did with this, you kind of expected what you were going to get with it. That did not happen with this album, and I am so happy it didn't. Prof brings this whole new genre to the Rhymesayers family. He hits, he makes bump music. He's got a feature from Waka Flocka Flame on this, which I never thought I would see on a Rhymesayers release. He has this hilarious fucking song called I Had Sex in the 90s. Has an R&B feel, a little bit of funk feel, and it's literally what it's called. I Had Sex. It talks about him having sex in the 90s. So funny. Such a great album. Prof Liability landing at number 7. Number 6, Top Dawg Entertainment. J-Rock 90059. J-Rock is a West Coast rapper. This is his sophomore full length. This was actually released on Top Dawg. His debut, which I talked about in 2011, was released on Strange Music. This is a more well-rounded record. I'm really happy he's back on Top Dawg. It fits his music so well to be on a West Coast label other than Strange, which is all the way out in Kansas City. And it just doesn't quite fit right. Such a good record. Got a song on here called Gumbo, one of the most brutally honest songs I've ever heard. He's got I think he has 1 or 2 Kendrick verses. 1 Kendrick verse. You've got Lance Skywalker, who's this new singer on Top Dawg, was a new singer on Top Dawg. Fantastic record. J-Rock 90059. I did not think he was going to top Follow Me Home, and he did a fantastic job of following it up. Number 5, a record that nobody talks about. Okay. Some people talk about this record, but it is definitely not talked about enough as it is so ingenious and nobody's done it before, and I'm not exactly sure why. This is Ghostface Killah and BadBadNotGood with Sour Soul. Ghostface is a rapper. Everybody knows him. He's from Wu-Tang Clan. BadBadNotGood is a relatively unknown jazz trio or quartet. They've done some stuff with Tyler the Creator, Mac Miller. They've kind of been in the hip-hop game for a while. This is a full album of BadBadNotGood making jazz instrumentals with Ghostface rapping on top of it. Some of the best lyrics of 2015. A fantastic Danny Brown verse. You've even got a feature from MF Doom on here, which I never expected. So good. Such a good record. Guys, if you like underground, if you like jazz, if you like Wu-Tang, this album is for so many people. Ghostface Killah and BadBadNotGood, Sour Soul. Number 4. This is probably going to shock some people that it drops this low, but there's no other spot for it. Kendrick Lamar with To Pimp a Butterfly. We all know Kendrick. I'm not going to spend any time talking about him. This is his sophomore commercial release after Good Kid, Mad City, which blew up, became an instant classic. Everybody's favorite of 2012, including mine. Fantastic record. Everybody expects him to do exactly the same thing. So he comes out with To Pimp a Butterfly, and everybody's expectations get blown to the left. This album is almost purely funk with him rapping on top of it. You've got George Clinton with a lot of production credits on this. But there's so many good themes at the same time. I mean, it's one of those records that's going to stand the history of time as far as politics go. Talks a lot about black hate crimes. Talks a lot about police brutality. Talks a lot about blacks in politics and the way politics treat African Americans. It's such a good record. My favorite song is How Much a Dollar Cost, which is him talking to a homeless man. The homeless man asks him for $1. He says, "No, I can't spare it." He's at a gas station, and he drives away, but he's about to drive away, and the homeless man represents himself as God and says, "This is what $1 costs. It cost you a life." And the idea behind this song, I don't know where it came from, how he made it. Such a good song. You've got some great shit talk songs. King Kunta, some really good love songs like it's fantastic. You've got a song where he's talking from the point of view of an alcoholic, and he's essentially just screaming into the microphone, and you can really hear the torture in his voice. Fantastic album. Kendrick Lamar, To Pimp a Butterfly. I would have put it higher if I could have, but my top three are three of my favorite records ever, period, bar none. Perfect. Every single one of these I've rated a 10. I am not like Melonhead, Anthony Fantano, where I only give a 10 every 6 years to some obscure album that nobody's ever heard of before. If I love an album and I think it's perfect, I give it a 10. All three of these got 10s from me. Argue, that's fine. It's my opinion. I love all these records almost equally. Took me a long time to finalize the order, but I think we finally did it. Number 3, Joey Badass, Before the Money. Joey Badass is a rapper from New York City. Kind of hit the stage big with his 1999 mixtape. His songs Wave and Survival Tactics. Survival Tactics having one of my favorite features of the decade on it from Capital Steez, rest in peace. Joey Badass essentially embodies 90s hip-hop, and he brings it back to life now. I have so much respect for it. There's not a lot of people can do what Joey Badass does. I love the fact that his name is Joey Badass, and this album is stylized to look like Badass, but it's actually Before the Money. Joey being Joey. Fantastic release. Every song on here is almost a classic. I have one complaint about this album. Just one. And that is the bonus track, Teach Me, featuring Kiesa. And it's essentially just about dancing. And I just can't do it. Can't do it. Every other track is absolutely perfect. Fantastic release. If you like 90s hip-hop, if you like boom bap, if you like East Coast, if you like old school, and you have not checked out Joey Badass, check him out. Fantastic album, fantastic artist. Joey Badass, Before the Money, and number 3. Number 2 comes from probably my second favorite rapper right now. My favorite rapper changes quite often. Right now, he's number 2, only behind Billy Woods. And that's because I've never really checked out Billy Woods intricately, so I'm really giving him a shot and really checking out his discography. Number 2 falls to Earl Sweatshirt with I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. Album title explains the album. I don't like shit, I don't go outside. Very similar to my personality. I do not like leaving my house. My wife will attest. This album is his sophomore full length on Tan Cressida, which is, I believe, his own imprint of Columbia Records. I've never heard an album before this that is so brutally honest, you almost have to stop listening to it. This album talks about depression, suicide, anxiety, social awkwardness, not wanting to tour anymore, not wanting to do the things that a famous rapper has to do. His next album after this kind of follows the same lines in a different way. This is also Earl growing 10 years over a 2-year span. He releases Doris, which is a big jump of maturity from Earl, his mixtape. He then comes out with I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. The beats are very strange. They're almost bumpy. They're almost a little sketchy. Almost like a train on a track that's just trying to stay on that track, but it's got all these bends and it's got a couple bent rails, but it somehow stays on top. That's what Earl feels like on top of this album. It is so good. Such a great record. Such a good record to talk about mental health and the way that we handle anxiety and depression. Earl is one of the few rappers that can do it justice. Fantastic record. Please do not skip this album if you like old Earl. Check this out. It is worth a listen. Earl Sweatshirt, I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside. Now I know what you're thinking. You've blown up those last 3 or 4 albums. How can you have one that tops it? Well, the reason I have one that tops it is because my number 1 of 2015 is my number 1 of the decade. Probably my number 1 of the 2000s, maybe of all time. There's not an album that I have heard that has been so honest and so truthful and just so to the point that you cannot avoid it. There is no Earl, Pusha T metaphors. There's some wordplay. I shouldn't say there's no wordplay, but there's no, you have to go to Rap Genius and read the lyrics in order to realize what he's acting. He is fucking telling you what he's saying. Everything he says on this album is completely honest, straight from the heart. You can feel it, you can hear it, you can feel the emotion as he raps. Number 1 goes to Red Pill, Look What This World Did to Us, which is one of my favorite album titles I have ever heard. Red Pill is from Detroit. He now goes by Chris Orick, so you might have to, if you're trying to find this somewhere, you might have to type in Chris Orick, Orrick. He changed his name from Red Pill to Chris Orick for obvious reasons. There's nothing I can say about this album that you will not argue with me about. Everything is perfect. No complaints. The beats are smooth. They're boom bappy. They're underground. They're very soulful. He sits on top of them and almost in a lackadaisical way just spits on them. Just raps. Doesn't try. Doesn't switch up his flow a whole lot. But he doesn't need to. There's literally a song on here. It's the first track. It's called Meh. And it's literally about nothing. It's the Seinfeld equivalent to a hip-hop track. It's him. The chorus is, I guess I'm just bored. I guess I'm just meh. I guess I want more. Like, it's him ordering a pizza because his significant other forgot to sit the chicken out of the freezer to defrost it. Like, and he somehow keeps it interesting. My favorite track on here is Blue. Talks about addiction, and it doesn't overdo it like a lot of addictive tracks does. Very subtle. Very good album. Please check this out. It's also released on Mellow Music. Look What This World Did to Us by Red Pill, a.k.a. Chris Orick. Number 1. My least favorite album of the year is also probably my most disappointed in album of the decade. That goes to Look Up by Mod Sun. I loved Mod Sun. I was a big punk, pop, metalcore, post-hardcore metal fan. So as you know, Mod Sun, coming from being the drummer of Four Letter Lie, I've seen them live. I've seen him drum live. I was very excited. I listened to all of his tracks when they were popping. Really enjoyed him. Heard he got signed to Rostrum. Really excited to see what they could do with him, just like what they did with Mac Miller. And then he releases this fucking piece of shit record. Ugh. So mundane. Not interesting. The tracks that he had released before this, like Free Love, and I know there's another one, My Hippie. Free Love and My Hippie. He'd released those previously, and he changed them to put them on the album and made them worse. On My Hippie, he adds a verse that features Dizzy Wright. What the fuck? My Hippie was such a good song, just representing good times, good vibes, nothing negative, and he brings fucking Dizzy Wright on it. Oh, it just ruins the fucking song. And I don't mean to talk so much shit about Dizzy Wright. I do respect the beginning of his career, but fuck. It's not all Dizzy's fault. This album was shitty from the moment he stepped into the studio. I mean, other than Free Love and My Hippie, every other song sounds the same. Every song. I liked his mixtapes a lot. After this, I probably won't even listen to another one of his albums. This was just so bad. And I respect the way he tries to stay positive and keeps positive vibes and raps about positive things. But, fuck. What a mundane, boring, one-track clusterfuck of an album. Least favorite of 2015. Mod Sun, Look Up. But it's hard to after that fucking piece of shit of an album. Okay, we're going to get over it. My best verse of 2015, we're going to awards. Best verse of 2015 goes to Joey Badass for his, I guess the whole song is basically a verse for Christ Conscious. There is so many good one-liners, so much good wordplay. Everything he says on this song means something more than what he is saying. And at the same time, it doesn't fucking matter, because if it didn't, he's still killing it. Fantastic fantastic beat choice, fantastic flow, the words, the wordplay, everything. Favorite verse of 2015, Joey Badass, Before the Money. Best hook goes to my aforementioned song, I Had Sex in the 90s by Prof off of Liability. I had sex in the 90s. If you think about it, yeah, that's a long time. Had sex in the 90s. Like, ugh. So good. Who knew this dude holding this fucking elephant costume head with a switchblade dripping in blood could sing that well? Fuck, I didn't know that. Fantastic. Check it out. Prof. I Had Sex in the 90s. Best hook of the year. Best beat goes to Actin' Crazy off of Mr. Wonderful. Backwards looped samples, sounds like some keyboard, maybe some guitar. Definitely played in reverse, but it's just like it's fucking crazy. Action kills it. There's some really good not xylophone, the wood version of xylophone. You know what I'm fucking talking about. Fantastic beat. Actin' Crazy, best beat of 2015. Best song of 2015 goes to the aforementioned Blues by Red Pill off of Look What This World Did to Us. Talks about how he quit smoking, and so he has one of those electronic blue cigarettes. That's why it's called Blues. Walks past the e-cig and grabs a pack of Reds instead that his buddy left there. Goes outside to smoke. A bum comes up and asks him for a cigarette. Mind-blowing conversation. Precedes it. So good. Best song of the year. No doubt in my head about it. Best artwork of the year, I'm actually going to have to go with Earl Sweatshirt. I don't like shit. I don't go outside. I know it's bland. It's boring. I could have given it to Pusha T, King Push, because it's basically the same. The reason I like this is because this literally represents what this album is about. If you look, the word shit isn't even fully made. It's such a good representation of the album. If we're doing best artwork purely based on look and not aesthetic and not how it is compared to the album, it would be Prof Liability. But this is my fucking channel, and I do what I want. So it's I Don't Like Shit, I Don't Go Outside by Earl. Best feature of the year goes to Danny Brown off of 6 Degrees, off of Sour Soul by Ghostface Killah and Bad Bad Not Good. Fantastic verse, fantastic feature. Could have also given it to MF Doom's. I sided with Danny purely because his verse fit the song a tiny bit more than MF's did, which shouldn't be that big of a surprise, considering the fact that MF Doom does his own shit, and it never really fits on anybody else's agenda. The 5 albums I'm looking forward to getting from 2015 are Jedi Mind Tricks, Thief and the Fallen, Czarface, Every Hero Needs a Villain, Dr. Dre, Compton, which I don't know what the fuck that is, but it's Dre. You know what I mean? Gangrene, You Disgust Me, and The Game with the Documentary 2. Yes, I do not own that yet. I am wanting to get my hands on it. Thanks for watching. That is my 2015 list. I hope everybody enjoyed it. If you liked it, give me a thumbs up. Please share the video. If you did not like it, give me a thumbs down. That's cool, but tell me in the comments why you didn't like it. Don't talk about my recording. Don't talk about my Drowning the Light poster. I like black metal just as much as hip-hop. Everybody calm down. Do not say it's because my opinion sucks. It's a fucking opinion. Tell me what your opinion is instead. In fact, give me your top 15 of 2015. I would love to see everybody else's lists. Nobody's done that yet. And I've always thought when they do these fucking videos on YouTube, when they said, give me your list in the comments, they were just bullshitting you. I really want to see your fucking list. I want to compare notes. Tell me some artists. Tell me some other albums from 2015 that I may be just overlooking because it's fucking Drake or Lil Wayne or whatever. Don't tell me Lil Wayne. I'm going to skip that. But give me some fucking artists you like. I hope you guys liked it. I hope I kept it short enough. It's about 30 minutes, which is pretty long, but Here on out, that should be about the length. Hope to see you guys again for my best 16 of 2016. Thanks.